In America, there's no such thing as Democrats and Republicans anymore. That's antiquated. In America, you have liberals and conservatives. This is what the American political structure boils down to among whites. The only people who are still living in the past and thinks in terms of I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican is the American Negro. He's the one who runs around bragging about party affiliation, and he's the one who sticks to the Democrat or sticks to the Republican. But white people in America are divided into two groups, liberals and Republicans, or rather liberals and conservatives. And when you find white people vote in the political picture, they're not divided in terms of Democrats and Republicans. They're divided consistently as conservatives and as liberals. The Democrats who are conservatives vote with Republicans who are conservatives. Democrats who are liberals vote with Republicans who are liberals. You find this in Washington, D.C. Now, the white liberals aren't white people who are for independence, who are liberal, who are moral, who are ethical in their thinking. They are just a faction of white people who are jockeying for power, the same as the white conservatives are a faction of white people who are jockeying for power. Now, they are fighting each other for booty, for power, for prestige. And the one who is the football in the game is the Negro. 20 million black people in this country are a political football, a political pawn, an economic football, an economic pawn, a social football, a social pawn. And the liberal element of whites are those who have perfected the art of selling themselves to the Negro as a friend of the Negro, getting the sympathy of the Negro, getting the allegiance of the Negro, getting the mind of the Negro. And then the Negro sides with the white liberal, and the white liberal uses the Negro against the white conservative. So that anything that the Negro does is never for his own good, never for his own advancement, never for his own progress. He's only a pawn in the hands of the white liberal. The worst enemy the Negro has is this white man who runs around here drooling at the mouth, professing to love Negroes and calling himself a liberal. And it is following these white liberals that has perpetuated problems that Negroes in America has. If the Negro wasn't taken, trapped, tricked, deceived by the white liberal, then Negroes would get together and solve our own problem. It was the white liberals that come up with the Civil War, supposedly, they say, to solve the slave question. Lincoln was supposedly a white liberal. When you read the true history of Lincoln, he wasn't trying to free any slaves. He was trying to save the Union. He was trying to save his own party. He was trying to conserve his own power. And it was only after he found he couldn't do it without freeing the slaves that he came up with the Emancipation Proclamation. So right there you have deceit of white liberals making Negroes think that the Civil War was fought to free them. You have the deceit of white liberals making Negroes think that the Emancipation Proclamation actually freed the Negroes. And then when the Negroes got the Civil War and they found out they weren't free, the Emancipation Proclamation, they found out they still weren't free. They begin to get dissatisfied and unrest. They come up with the same white liberals came up with the 14th Amendment, supposedly to solve the problem. This came about, the problem still wasn't solved because the white liberals is only a political trick. Civil War, political trick. Emancipation Proclamation, political trick. 14th Amendment to this raggedy Constitution, a political trick. Then when the Negroes begin to develop intellectually again and realize that their problem still wasn't solved and unrest began to increase, the Supreme Court, another so-called political trick, came up with what they call a Supreme Court desegregation decision. And they purposely put it in a language. Now, you know, sir, that these men on the Supreme Court are masters of the King's English, masters of legal phraseology, and if they wanted a decision that no one could get around, they would have given one. But they gave their Supreme Court desegregation decision in 1954 purposely in a language, phraseology, that enabled all of the crooks in this country to find loopholes in it that would keep them from having to enforce the Supreme Court desegregation decision. So that even after the decision was handed down, our problem has still not been solved.
I am not trying to seduce you.
When I dance, they call me Macarena, and the boys, they say que soy buena. They all want me, they can't have me, so they all come and dance beside me. Move with me, chant with me, and if you're good, I'll take you home with me.
Hala tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo es para dar la alegría y cosas buenas. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, Macarena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo es para dar la alegría y cosas buenas. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, Macarena.